Hello, sports fans. How you doing? This is the Hebrew Hillbilly coming at you with producer Jeeves over there. We've uh we've yeah, we've had a pretty nice week. A pretty nice everything. I mean, it's people are still cleaning up from the flood around here. It got bad. There's a lot of damage. And we ended up with some more rain after that, which yeah, it's like getting a paper cut and then having somebody say, "Oh, here, let me treat that," and then rubbing a lemon on it. So it was just a bunch of shit. But we are getting through it. It's getting better. The temperature's coming up. It's a beautiful sunny day here in the greatest state in the entire United States, the state of Indiana. Hope everybody is well. Hope everybody's recovering from the floods and ain't having to deal with some jizz bag insurance adjuster who's trying to screw you on every dime they can. But I guarantee there are people out there dealing with that. So hopefully you're if you've got one of those horrible insurance adjusters that's playing games with you. I had that same thing happen to me with a roof here, maybe 10 years ago or so. I had some pretty serious roof damage from a bad storm that we had, and the whole roof needed replaced. I had a couple of guys come out and look at it, and they were, there was nobody on earth who was going to say that that roof didn't need replaced. Well, the insurance adjuster came out. The guy who worked for the insurance company came out and literally was counting missing roofing shingles and explained to me in no uncertain terms that all the insurance company was going to do was pay for the missing shingles and was not going to pay to have them installed. That was on me. I mean, it was this guy was a complete scumbag, and if you're dealing with any insurance adjusters like that, uh, I hope that guy on his way home from work today has a head-on collision with a semi truck loaded with AIDS. So piss on those guys. But you're going to deal with those guys. I hope you don't, but in life you're always going to deal with horrible ass people like that who who are part of an agreement. Which that's what insurance is. It's an agreement. I will pay this certain amount of money to you so that you can cover this big amount of money later on if if something bad happens. But if nothing bad happens, I just continue to pay the premium. That's what it's about. But they're most insurance companies are going to try to do everything they can to weasel out of it. Anyhow, this last week, Mr. Swalwell, the pants or the shitty pants phantom of CNN, the what was his was he a senator or a congressman? Anyhow, he was in the House of Representatives for California. He's the guy who farted real loud when he was on CNN and tried to hide it, but you could see the people behind him standing behind him in the room where they were all lighting matches and shit and opening windows and fanning, so you knew what he did. Anyhow, he was the one who got busted for mixing up the Cosby coladas there for his dates in California. He also was got mixed up with banging a Chinese spy. Well, it gets the FBI. We talked about him earlier on one of the episodes. Also, they didn't arrest him, but I guess he was at the airport in San Francisco, and the FBI confiscated all of his his laptop and his cell phone and all that shit. Uh, Asking producer Jeeves if he can get me another glass of water. But anyway, they confiscated his I don't remember what they call all the devices, but basically his electronic stuff. And what I'm wanting is you get all these leaks in the government all the time. It's just a common thing. I want somebody to leak the beaver shots from Fang Fang. I'd like to see that. See if he was dealing with the landing strip, or maybe instead of just having the bush, he may have had the whole damn forest. You never know.
Your water, sir. Would you
Thank
like
you.
some crumpets as well?
Nah, I'm good. Thanks, I appreciate it, buddy.
No problem.
Getting there, since we're in politics already, we'll go ahead and throw into this politics shit that's going on in Michigan. They just elected some, or didn't elect, nominated some radical progressive commie socialist douchebag, and what we're going to lay into most in this particular, oh, excuse me, in this particular episode is we're going to lean on the whole DSA and communism thing, because like I said, okay, these are not people who are winning overwhelmingly. Okay, they are not. They are like I said, they are picking select races in deep blue states and doing what they can to basically front load their people in the area so that they can get these people elected. Because otherwise, if they were in, they're also choosing off year elections, so that it makes it's just very hard for people to understand that these people aren't winning popularly, they're winning strategically. But the fact that they are winning will give them momentum, and like one of the greatest comedians that ever lived, Mel Brooks. People used to give him shit all the time about him doing impersonations of Hitler. Uh, because they didn't understand. Why would a Jew, especially a Jew who was a World War II veteran, be doing impressions of Hitler? He'd put that comb up and do the whichever hand it goes, the Nazi salute. Or he'd hold the comb up so he had the little mustache. The guy was hilarious. And the whole it's springtime for Hitler. The producers. That is another one. There's music. I'm not sure if you consider that a musical as much as there's music in it. I guess it is a musical, but it's
We were talking about musicals.
yeah, we were talking about musicals earlier, and I happen to be, I hate musicals. I despise musicals, but there are a few that I have liked. Fiddler, of course. If you're a Jew, I think it's illegal for you to not like Fiddler. Yeah, I mean, you can get 6 years of probation if you admit to not liking Fiddler. But Fiddler, and the two ones done by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, or Matt Parker and Trey Stone. Anyhow, the two South Park creators, the hilarious. Okay, absolutely hilarious guys. But that was Team America, World Police, and of course the South Park movie. Those are the only two. That Fiddler are the only three musicals that I like.
I'm not a huge musical guy, but I think Sound of Music had a decent plot, so that kind of saved it a bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the music wasn't bad, but you know, it's a fucking musical. People randomly say, at least they worked the music into the plot with that one. So
Yeah, I've never been able to like musicals. Grease was literally, I wish I could sue the people, the creators of Grease, for stealing that time from my life. Uh, um, but anyhow, I don't know how we got it. Musicals. Was Mel Brooks, and that was, you see, now that is like 8 degrees of separation that we did in like 3 minutes. That's how I write. It's why I'm starting to write our more and more detailed notes. I don't want to script, but I got to keep myself in line. The the necessity of what Mel Brooks was doing with Hitler was bringing ridicule, holding the worst, basically the worst enemy you have, up to ridicule, putting their face out there, showing the world exactly what they are, showing the world exactly what the DSA is. The DSA is just a new face on the Bolsheviks. It's just the new face of the what do you call it? The Red Guard. It's just a new face of any other communist movement. It's just they're trying to make it sound a little bit more appealing. Uh, that's something that most Democrats are for. They're real good at marketing that kind of thing. So when the radical far left progressives started getting in with them and working with them, they learned from the Democratic Party how to make themselves, how to put a polish on basically that the big turd that is themselves. So, but it's just communism is all it is.
It is.
And this scumbag that is in Michigan is he's an anti-Semite. Hell, this guy is about a half a degree separated from a jihadist himself. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the nitwit showed up to his own, if he wins, shows up to his own inauguration in a bomb vest. I mean, that's just how crazy this guy is. Now he tries to paint himself as a leftist, but if you listen to his stuff the stuff he's saying when he thinks nobody's around, the stuff that that people do that and then say. It's like the stuff on the internet. His stuff. Yeah, the guy's he's a wacko, and I am glad that the Jews in his or in Michigan are pushing for the Jewish community of Michigan to vote for the Republican candidate. I don't know, and like I said, I'm not as Republican as I am conservative, but I'm not as conservative as I am principled. Uh, I don't know what this other guy's about, but literally, if you're in a two-man race, it doesn't make any sense. There's been a couple of times whenever I went up to vote and didn't vote in a certain race because I didn't like either candidate. But by not voting, all you're doing is ensuring that the worst get it. Okay. Sometimes, and what was that? I think her name was Bessie or uh, I don't remember, but one of the cows on that show called The View was talking about holding your nose and voting for the worst. But they were just talking about voting for their party. I mean, honestly, when it comes to Democrats, I've seen that they vote in lockstep, and that's the problem. They need to stop doing that so that they can get away from these far progressive candidates because they're going to kill the party. They are. They've driven most centrists away, and they're going to drive the rest away. That's just the way it is. But I'm glad to see that the Jews are finally seeing the light that this whole progressive movement bullshit is not for you. And I understand how for the the Gentiles out there, for the non-Jews out there, there's something that needs to be explained about Judaism because you look at them and you think they're all commies and liberals and weirdos. That's not true. Okay, the most visual of them are. The reason being is how Judaism kind of formed. I'm not going to give you the whole history of Judaism and how it came from. Oh, excuse me. How it went from the beginning of the Bible until now. It's a
That's
long.
its own video.
Yeah, that's its own series of videos, and you can get them anywhere at just about the library of just about any shul out there. But the three basic basic branches of Judaism are Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform. Now, the Orthodox are the old school guys. You see a lot of those still in New York. There's large neighborhoods. They live together. It's kind of an almost like the Amish, but not really thing. Of course, that there was one uh, woman. I don't. She was. She's a Jew, but basically, she was trying to make herself famous by doing everything she could to shit on, lie about, and besmirch the Orthodox community. Which she did a show called Unorthodox, which honestly there was about 98.9% of the shit that was in that was either absolutely false or wildly exaggerated. Nobody's held prisoner as a Jew, for God's sakes. Uh, they were about as real as that Amish mafia show. That was,
Does anyone
yeah,
even remember that
the
fucking show?
Amish mafia. Yeah, that was about as, yeah, yeah. Anyway, uh, but the Orthodox are the old schools. Now, when Jews first started coming to the United States in larger numbers because of the continuously being pushed out of Europe, uh, there were. I'll tell you what, I need to take a little bit of a break here. Let's take producer Jeeves. Can you hit pause? We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And it's the Hebrew Hillbilly back with you. I just didn't want to swallow my own video. So, yeah, I checked to make sure that that fart, first of all, I had to make sure it was a fart. But second of all, I didn't want to, because I'm couth. I've got, I've got, I've got fetchings up. I got raisins. So anyway, we were talking about the different types of Jews. Um, the Orthodox, like I said, there are a lot here. But when Jews started moving here en masse, excuse me, with a lot of other immigrants, there were before they were able to set up their own neighborhoods, their own, I guess you'd say, enclaves. They came over here, and because of the mitzvah, because of Jewish laws, they found it extremely hard, very very hard to get employment because of rest days, of the holidays, of the different days that of rest that are given by Hashem, that it it made it, like I said, very difficult to live. So there were a group of them that got together and formed what they called conservative Judaism. We'll give it that. It's this isn't exactly how it happened, but it's a broad,
Approximate.
overreaching view of how it happened, so that we can shorten this up. There's a lot of information out there that you can find on the internet and in books and things like that can help you out with this.
No, I'd recommend looking into books because nowadays the internet's
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays it'll be you might think you're looking at Judaism, and it might be the Jewish Scientologists that you're looking at, and they'll tell you that something about being shit into a volcano or whatever
by
the hell that
Thorstein
is. So
Newell.
by John Travolta or whoever, um, one of those guys. But so yeah, look at more than one reference, but I'm sure you can find references out there. But at any rate, a conservative Jew is someone who follows Jewish law as closely as they possibly can and still be able to function in a non-Jewish society, which we live in. I mean, we live in a Christian-based country. And thank God I've got nothing against my country. Let's put it this way. I may go and visit the Holy Land. I may go and visit the Promised Land. But I am not moving to the Promised Land. I am not moving to the Holy Land. America is my home. This is where I was born, and this is where they're going to bury me. Up in that veteran cemetery up there in Marion. That's where I want to go. That's where they're going to plant me. But uh so I'm not bagging on the situation. I'm just saying that there are necessities, there are certain things I can't do that my religion as an Orthodox would require of me. But as a conservative, that's where I'm given that leeway. Uh, Now from there is also, and this wasn't where reform only came from, because there were reform movements in Europe uh, over the different decades and millennia. There have been different reform movements, but the reform that we enjoy here also kind of branches sort of from that, and the departing from that. In that, I like to call it the lazy Judaism. or ginos. There's a lot of those.
Jew and name.
Yeah,
Fucking.
yeah. Basically, people, and I've met them. They're Jews. They are, but they don't uphold mitzvah. They violate the Sabbath whenever they possibly can. They eat pigs. I mean, some of them are blatant about being pig eaters. It's That's their life and it's their choice. It doesn't. That's the thing about being a Jew. When I converted my rabbi, one of the greatest men I ever met, and a conservative, very conservative Jew, which is what attracted me to him. I had been to a few far more progressive Reform synagogues, and let's just say I wasn't all that impressed with. I might as well have been at some hippie love-in drum circle, for God's sakes. It wasn't my bag. Uh, and I wasn't seeing in them what I felt about Judaism, what attracted me to it. And that was, and of course you have what they call the secular Jews. Uh, uh, for a non-Jew, the best way I can explain a secular Jew would be like being a Christian Satanist. Okay, that's they're still Jews. They're technically Jews, because the question is Judaism a religion? Is Judaism a tribe? Is Judaism a race? Is it a people? And the answer in that is obviously yes. It is all things. It is no, not one of those single things. It is all of those things. And once you become a Jew, you are born a Jew. You retain. It doesn't matter if you convert to Catholicism and become. And this is something that actually my rabbi told me whenever, because I was, like I said, I started Catholic, so I was actually pretty excited when elected an American pope. You know, especially from the Midwest here. I was like, okay, cool, cool. And I got into a discussion with somebody at my synagogue about it, and they were, oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad discussion or anything. We weren't over there, taking a break from our Jewish space laser controls, or controlling the media, or
Controlling fucking Moist Critical's mind by misshaping his Cheerios.
yeah, doing whatever. We weren't taking a break from that. No, it was we just, and I happened to mention, I was like, yes, that was crazy that they had elected an American pope, because I never thought that they would an American and a pope. I just never thought that would happen. Uh, but I made the kind of offhanded comment that I would have bet on Cardinal Leibowitz before I'd have bet on an American Pope, and
Hey, well,
yeah, it was kind of funny. I mean, it was mildly humorous. It wasn't my best of jokes, but my rabbi, who laughed at it, also said, "Or but did you know that the first Pope was a Jew?" And I was like, he got to thinking. I was like, yeah, I guess he was. It's Paul. Yeah. So yeah,
okay, well,
or Peter or Paul, whichever one. Peter or Paul, one of the two. No, I think it was Peter.
yeah, St. Peter's.
Saint Peter, was he the first our Pope?
I think so.
Anyhow, I don't remember. It's been so long. Anyhow,
Anyway,
anyway,
to be fair though, Alexander the Fourth fucking became pope, and that guy was, well, Alexander the Fourth, also known as Rodrigo Borgia, however the fuck you want to pronounce his name. If you played Assassin's Creed 2, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I know about the Borgia family. But he bought his way into popery. But yeah, and like I said, I'm not going to bag on the Catholic Church for one. It's still something that is uh, dear to me, and it's not something that is still dear to my family. And I'm not gonna bag on it. They've had their problems in the past. All religions have had their problems in the past, but at any rate, but the biggest problem that we're running into with our Jews is the further they go into reform, the more worldly they become, the more they abandon Hashem. But it doesn't mean that Judaism abandons you. Once you're a Jew for your life. You retain the right of Aliyah your entire life. It's just the way it is. Uh, that's the right of return. In case that's something that Israel is there for. That's one of the purposes of Israel is that Jews have a place that if some of the things that have happened to Jews in the past happen again, not just with the Nazis, because the Nazis weren't the only ones, they were just the last ones to do it. I mean, you think about it when you talk about Pharaoh uh, 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 in the time of Moses, uh, they were casting every, and that wasn't the eventual revenge that Hashem took against Pharaoh, which was the firstborn sons. Pharaoh was killing all Jewish males, all the sons of Judaism, and that has happened in several on several different occasions with several different enemies, which is one of the reasons in Jewish lineage, if you are born a Jew, that is because you were born of a Jewish mother, not of a Jewish father. And that is because there have been so many times when they have tried to wipe out and then interbreed with Jews in order to remove the Jews from the world. So many different cultures and so many different nations have tried to do it that that's why it's the Jewish, it's whether the mother's a Jew or not that decides if you're a Jew, not the father. Uh,
Fucking
but yeah, Holocaust after Holocaust, that's what Judaism is. Or, I'm sorry, that's what Israel is there for, because it gives us a place. Basically, it's the way and I'm way too American, I guess, but the way I refer to Israel, Israel is the Jewish Alamo. Okay, it's where if it comes down to it, we have a place to make that last stand. Uh, I hope it don't come down to it. I hope that this experiment of God's comes to fruition. The I guess you would call it the Jewish experiment. Uh, but you never know. And we have Israel because nobody would ever have thought, and this is something that America needs to understand. This is something that the people of America need to understand, and that is that throughout history, Jews have never been more, as far as a people, they have never been more in numbers than what you would call a rounding error, basically. I think right now, Jews, 24, 26 million, something like that, in a world of 5 or 6 or 7 billion. I mean, we're basically like 0.002% of the population. We had the reason we have an outsized influence is because of our determination, I guess you could put it. Uh, People say we run the world. We don't. I don't run anything. I mean, if they did, that'd be great. I mean, I tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind getting a big old fat check from running all of Hollywood or whatever. That'd be great. No, no, we're just. The reason Jews are successful is for the one reason why people in America are slipping into lack of success, because number one, they're taught not to make excuses about failure. They're taught to get up, put their shoulders into it, and do it again until you don't stop failing, until you do it, because you're going to fail a lot. But you fail until you succeed. You don't fail and then give up because it was too hard. That's not the way it works.
Like I always say to people when they come up to me and start bitching about the Jews controlling the world, it's like, the only reason the Jews control the world is because everybody else is too fucking stupid to do it, right?
Mm, too late, too lazy.
They're too dumb and too fucking lazy. Like,
But
what about the Chinese? Do you want communists running everything?
yeah, yeah. But that's the most important thing that Jews have learned through subjugation and slavery and the facing of near extermination so many different times. Every time they had to save themselves. Well, Hashem stepped in and helped quite a bit. Which, I mean, look at it. If you're not believing that the Jews are the chosen people, okay, yeah, that's your choice. But I wouldn't bet against them. Us, sorry, I wouldn't bet against us because, with the exception of the United States, every great world power, every culture that has ever dominated the globe has sought, like I said, with the exception of the United States, has sought to enslave, subjugate, or exterminate the Jewish people. A people that have never amounted. I don't think in the history of the world have ever even amounted to 1% of the population. Haven't amounted to 0.1% of the population, one in 1,000. It has never been that many. Okay, there have never been that many Jews. All great powers, every single one of them, have tried to, like I said, enslave, subjugate, or outright exterminate the Jews. But we're still here. They're all gone. Now, tell me God's not on our side.
That reminded me of that fucking joke I sent you.
What?
The joke about the Jews fucking getting away with everything, and
Oh yeah, yeah, about the commies, yeah, which is we'll lead right into the commies right now because we're talking about how communism. I mean, the secular Jews, the Reform Jews that led to being secular Jews, that led to being humanist Jews and all kinds of other BS. Basically, people who were too lazy to get up on Saturday and go to shul.
yeah,
And tried pork chops or bacon or something and just fell in love or fell in love with. Hey, I happen to love oysters, but you don't see me eating them. Sorry. Would be nice to have a cheat day if God would have built one of those in there, but He didn't. So, and like I said, I cannot really be Orthodox because I'm not married to an Orthodox woman. Uh, I'm what you would call a conservadox Jew. That's at least what my rabbi used to tell us. We're basically conservatives up to and including most Orthodox things that we do and most Orthodox. We live an Orthodox lifestyle. We just can't. We're conservative, but we're extremely conservative Jews. But the humanist Jews, the secular Jews, those are the ones like that ended up being like Trotsky or like the ones who ran the communist revolution in Russia, which then got them exterminated, got them in another pogrom. I guess they thought that the commies were going to help them against the Cossacks. The commies did put down the Cossacks, but the commies just turned around and killed off all or as many, well, not all of them, but as many of the Jews as they possibly could. And uh, so, yeah, yeah, commies, Jews. I don't know why in the hell you haven't noticed this, but yeah, the commies aren't your friends. Okay, the DSA is not your friends. So far, I see the queer community, the Jewish community, the feminist communities. All three of these not are lumping themselves in with the DSA and directly supporting the Islamists. Yeah, that's that's like having the mouse rooting for the trap. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's literally like the chickens betting on the fox. Why would they do that?
that's like choosing the bear, but the bear has rabies.
Well, yeah, because they're going to kill you. It happened in Iran. Iran was never a majority Muslim country. They're the home of Zoroastrianism. Okay, Iranians, you very rarely hear about Iranians coming over to the United States and committing terrorist acts or doing things like that. Hell no, because they're getting the hell out of Iran because they don't like who's running Iran right now. It's what is the what am I thinking of here? Ah, I can't remember. IRGC. I can't believe I just slipped out the IRGC. It was the IRGC and the Iranian communists that got together, followed the Ayatollah, and were able to uh uh what do you call it? Depose the Shah of Iran and take control of the country. A very small minority. Basically, the same thing happened in Cuba, except they didn't have Muslims in Cuba, so that's why the commies are still in charge. But what happened after the IRGC and the Iranian communists took over the country, the IRGC, once they felt that they were firmly in control, just basically turned on the commies and either said convert to Islam or die. And the ones that didn't convert got killed. That's just the way it is. The commies didn't seem to see that one coming. I'm not exactly sure why, but whenever you have a people of faith, they're not a people. It's Islam is not a race, and I'm getting sick of hearing that. Islam is barely a religion. It is a religion that strap. It is a political system that straps bootstraps into a religion by its reference to Judaism and Christianity. It is a formula for living life, and it is a political system. It has a lot less to do, and those are the big ones. And then down here you can say, okay, yeah, it's a religion. It meets eh, most of the criteria uh, to be a religion, but it is more a political system, and it openly advocates for the death of homosexuals. It openly advocates for the subjugation of women. Uh, it openly advocates uh, for basically Sharia law, which has absolutely nothing to do with communism and is completely incompatible with communist ideology. So it's going to do away with that. It is its own system, and it will take over. So you guys out there, you so-called socialists, and socialism is just slavery. It's just slavery by another word. It's serfdom, which is slavery by another word. It. People are upset. Youngsters are upset now, and I say it's instant gratification, and people are looking at me like I'm being some kind of a horse's ass when I say that. No, I'm not, because it's not necessarily you being spoiled. It's you are looking too much at the short term. I speak of this all the time. This is something like when I'm talking about my union. When I'm talking about, uh, like I said, my union, I'm talking about people going out there and getting that good old visceral experience, taking the classes that they need, but not wasting your time and throwing your life away in a college where you're getting a lot of useless classes that aren't doing you any good. It's life is going to take a while. You're going to be poor when you're young. Most people are, okay? They talk about most kids in their 20s and 30s not being able to afford a house, not being able to afford these things. And then you hear some of these assholes that are talking about, oh, they just need to tighten their bootstraps. They need to quit drinking $8 coffees and shit. And you do, okay? You do need to be a little bit better with your money, but that's not the solution. You're not going to suddenly be better with your money and suddenly be able to afford a house because you quit going to Starbucks. It takes time to build a oh, hold on a second. There we go. It takes time to build your life up to the point. I didn't buy my first house until I was in my late 30s. Late 30s. 37, 38. Uh and that's pretty normal. If you think you're 18, 19 years old and you're going to buy a house, you're sorely mistaken. You got a lot of years of being poor. And if you think, if you, and like I said, that's, if you graduate college and think that suddenly you're going to, or you're going to leave college and walk right into a $2 million a year salary, probably not. Okay. You're going to spend time struggling. You're going to spend time building, spend time networking until you build the life that you want. And like I said, that's the bad thing about college, because a lot of kids were duped and suckered into going to college, that and thinking that would be a shortcut to that success, and it's not. There is no shortcut to that success. There's legwork, there's sweat equity. And part of that will come from college, but college doesn't guarantee that. It's like I said, it's sweat equity. It's building that life for yourself, and be patient. But that's where the communism comes from. That's where this idea that, well, suddenly I haven't had this idyllic life. I haven't had the world. I'm sorry, I haven't had the world handed to me. I have. Was that still?
It's because the
Yeah.
fucking arms.
Okay. I haven't. You know. So let's go with the communists, because but communism is even worse. Political systems were set up for this reason. It's financial system, or the reason human beings started getting together was to help gather. Sorry, getting together to help gather. I don't know. First day of the new tongue. Because when people live alone, or whenever people live into such a small group, it's all subsistence living. You're going to spend 99% of your time uh, as building your shelter, making your clothes, hunting for food, gathering food, things like that. And if you're lucky, you'll be able to survive. But people get together, and then you have a small group who can forage. You have another group that is good at hunting. They are the group that goes out and hunts. You have another group that's really good at sewing skins together, and that's, you see, it's the delegation of work. It's the division of labor into those groups that makes it a better life for everybody, because now you all have to share your food. Now that ain't communism, okay? That ain't communism. That's how a small village works. That's how a group of 20 or 30 human beings living together, or 40 human beings, just a small group, works, because there's a direct exchange of goods and services right there. But for a society itself to work, that system does not scale. That's the fallacy of socialism. The fallacy of communism is because that system does not scale. In order for that system to work, you need a medium of exchange. That medium of exchange becomes currency, capital. Okay, it's just that simple, because I may have, these berries and this bucket of apples over here, but but on the other side of my country, they need this bucket of apples uh um in exchange for some meat that I'm going to get from them. But by the time I get the apples to them, they're going to be rotten. They're not going to be any good. Or the meat's going to be spoiled by the time I get it back. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't work out. But if I have a medium of exchange, this person who doesn't want my apples or give a shit about them knows that he can sell them over here, so he's going to come here, buy the apples, and he'll suddenly have a stockpile of apples here, which these people can get to. But anyhow, that's an oversimplification, but it becomes a medium of exchange. Capitalism is necessary because that's how larger, more complex societies function. Communism tries to short circuit that, because in that system there are always going to be people who are richer, always going to be people who are poor. And in a communist system there are always people who are richer and poorer. The difference is, in a communist society, everybody's poorer, and only a very small select percentage is wealthy or middle class or doing well. In a capitalist society, yes, there is a top 1%. There, these 1%ers. That move. People move in and out of that. Okay, you can move from the bottom 1% to the top 1%, depending on how hard you fucking work. In a communist society, you can't do that. No matter how hard you work, you're always at the bottom. There's only the party faithful at the top, and it takes a lot more effort to kiss your ass into that system than it would be to go out and invent something. And if you don't believe me that no innovation exists within a communist system, uh, uh, when was the new Chinese thing that came out? Chinese anything that came out during the Cold War. When was or were people standing around waiting for weeks on end to get the new Russian cell phone, or to buy that new Russian car because it was so well built, or that new Russian TV?
Yeah, when was the last time the news fucking mentioned China's, new technological development that looked so promising and advanced? When was the last time that actually led to something?
Yeah, it never does, because they don't actually advance any technology; they just steal it. Uh, but and it's not just the youngsters, and this is something that needs to be put out there. It's not just the young kids that haven't seen, their instant or short term uh, um success over their or completion of their goals. It is, and I have to say, probably the most awful and horrible thing, the most insidious and dangerous creature that has ever faced, that the United States has ever faced, and that is, as I said, the awful, the feminazi, the internet-born female feminist, the affluent white female liberal that spent their lives, and it's that has a lot to do with unhappiness. They spent their lives in their bubble, and the internet, there were always these crazy in that realm. I'm not saying all feminists are crazy. A woman who's standing up for her rights is a good thing. A woman who wants to make a choice, wants to live her life, is a very good thing. It's yeah, but a woman who believes that any woman who chooses, because it is just as much a woman's right to stay home and raise her children as it is to go out into the workforce, and neither one is wrong, neither one is bad. It depends. In my opinion, I believe that the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life is my children. There are many times my children, and especially my grandchildren, piss on my children now. Get the hell out. I just want, like I said, the sign hanging in my house says grandchildren always welcome, parents by appointment only. I love that sign. But that's my grandbabies. But and that there were many opportunity. Well, I would say many, about three different opportunities that, had I taken them, would have made me, let's just say, significantly wealthier than I am now. Uh, Wealthy enough, honestly, that I would not be here right now. I'd be sitting in my really nice house in Cozumel, sipping on little fruity tropical drinks with my hand in that, or with my feet in that white sand, and yeah, none of you assholes that ever see anything from me again. And sometimes I kind of wish I'd have done that. Sometimes I kind of, because it would have been nice to be a seven-figure man, possibly eight-figure man, but I'd have had to not I would have had to have not had kids, or not spent time with my grandkids, or not had my grandkids. It would have put me in a position where those things that mean far more to me than all the money you could ever possibly give me would just be gone. Those things are wonderful. Now, that's my opinion. Family is everything. But if you believe that if you have the drive and you want to be the greatest lawyer, or the greatest architect, or the greatest mechanic, or the greatest whatever in the world, and that's your drive. If you're a man or a woman, you have every right to fulfill that. You have every right to do whatever you can to fulfill that, to attempt to fulfill that. I'm not going to say to fulfill it, because you don't have a right to anything. You have a right to try, and that's it. Uh, but to think that you don't have a right because it's a traditional role, that somehow you're wrong because you're following a traditional role, that's the feminazis, that's the wackos. Women st- who are like this are simply, and I have to say this because I believe it. I don't know that it's true, but I believe it from being raised around women and having been around some real friggin' feminazis in my life. That most of the women who play these games, who are just so overly radical, so socialist, so anti-Jew, so anti this, anti-man, especially anti-man, uh, are are that way because they are trying to outwardly voice and shame others into hating, into basically trying to get them to be like they are, because misery likes company, because these are not happy people, they're miserable. And you hear a lot of talk, and there is some validity. I will say there is validity to this whole idea of the faux uh uh feminist non-toxic man who's out there, who's he's got a rescue, he's working on his screenplay. You see him in the middle of July in the coffee house wearing a one of those stocking knit caps. Well, and I'm just sitting there wondering, how the fuck is this guy not sweat? And he's got his sweater, and you see the guys, they got their sweater pulled down where they're just the ends of their fingers are sticking. That guy, yeah, that guy, the guy who you just want to fucking punch until there's no bones left in your hand. Yeah, and these guys uh are, they're out there, and they're bullshitters, they're bullshit artists. And if you, and you end up spending, with some women, not I won't say you, but some of these women end up spending 2 or 3 or 4 years, sometimes more than that, with these guys, and the whole time he's basically living off of them. He's running a long con is what he's doing. This is just a con, okay? There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There are men who can be piggish. There are men who can be oafish. But do you want stocking cap, man bun rescue boy, or rescue puppy boy? They're on the side of the road with you, standing there going, "I've got no bars. I've got no bars. I've got no bars." When your tire's flat, or do you want the guy who's going to take the tire out of the trunk and replace the damn thing for you? Yeah, it's not real toxic when he's doing that, is
Gonna
it?
take the fucking bar, the tire, and the jack that come with your car out of the trunk and put the damn
Uh huh.
fucking donut on.
Instead of him, oh my god, I need an Uber, I need an Uber. No, no, you trust me. This whole toxic masculinity thing is way overblown, because it's overblown by women who have spent their lives with these men, or with no men, have spent their lives. I hate men. I'm never gonna, my career, my this, my that. You're gonna do this and you're gonna do that. And most men are gonna look at a woman who is that demanding and who's that rude to them, and they're gonna be like, no, never mind. Yeah, you're too much of a shrew. But your sister's hot. I wonder if she's as big a bitch as you are. And generally speaking, no, the sister isn't. So he ends up married to the sister. Okay. And then, pow, you're 50 and you're alone. Do you smell that? Why? Yeah. And that's how it happens. These are just women who are trying to make you so miserable. And in that, again, I am going to say, like I say all the time, right here, I'll move in on this. Shut off your friggin' computer. Shut off your phone. Shut off your streaming service, your whatever account, for a little while. Okay? I'm not saying don't ever use them again. I'm saying go outside.
That's it. Don't fucking use Twitter. Twitter does not represent any majority of anything.
Go outside. Smell those flowers. Smell the freshly cut grass. Take a walk somewhere. Maybe. Or a drive. Go to a public place where there are a lot of people. Okay? Walk around a little bit. Do this. Make a point to do this a couple of times a week, or at least once a week. Just spend some time in public. If you ain't got any money, really, I mean, you ain't got a lot of extra money, it's going to cost you money. Go to a farmer's market. Go to nice parks. Things like that. Bring the bottled water with you. Don't buy the $3 bottled water from the concession stand. If you see an attractive man or an attractive woman,
We don't
say hi. Yeah, yeah, whether you're a man or a woman and you see an attractive man or a woman, I'm not judging you. Just walk up and say hi. Try and strike up a conversation. You know what's going to happen? One of two things. They are either going to reject you and walk away, or they're going to strike up a conversation with you. Okay? If they reject you and walk away from you, you are out nothing. It cost you nothing. Nothing happened to you. It's that simple.
And even if they do fucking go all fucking crazy, and
Yeah, just walk away from that. Don't engage that. If you happen to walk, and like I said, avoid anybody who's still wearing a mask at this time. Yeah, if they've got, yeah, that's the best part about those masks is it warned you of the psychotic people. It's like a badge saying, "Stay away from me. I'm very damaged goods." Or if they've got, like, 18 different colored hair, it's a good sign. Maybe you just,
nose ring, fucking
yeah,
two-tone hair.
yeah, shit like that. But even if they don't reject you, if they do reject you, like I said, you walked away, you've lost nothing. You've lost nothing. And maybe you've gained a little bit of confidence in that you just went up and talked to somebody and you saw. It's like that first fight. Like they say, the first time a human being, and this is the truth, I've been in way more fights than I probably ought to admit to. But the first time you ever get in a fist fight, you're ready to shit yourself. Your entire body's made of mashed potatoes, and chances are you're gonna get your ass whipped. Now, my first fight, I actually won, which was not good because my second, third, and fourth fights, I got the shit kicked out of me because I was entirely too ballsy after that. It took me a while to start winning fights again because, I just thought I was a badass because the first guy who picked a fight with me was a pushover and a pussy. But that caused me to be a lot more willing to fight people than I probably should have been. But oh yeah, hey, you win some, you lose some. But what the most important thing about my first fight taught me was that I'm not gonna die. It's not gonna kill me. I'll survive it. It's a little painful. Yeah, your eye might hurt a little bit for a couple of days, but you're gonna live through it. It's not that bad. Even taking an ass whooping's not that bad. You're gonna live. The same way with if you are rejected from a woman, you're going to learn, or a man, you're going to learn. You live. You're okay. Just say hi. Because the one thing that could happen, other than that, or being rejected, is that you could make a good friend. Or maybe over a period of time, over a period of talking to them for a while, you could make a romantic connection. You could grow an intimate friendship. You could make something long term out of that. And that to me is life. That to me is the best part of life. The best part of my life is being able to spend time with my kids, being able to spend time with my grandkids. I want nothing more in the world than to hang out with my grandbabies. Nothing more in the world, and hang out with my wife. Me and my wife, we still do date nights. Try to do it at least every week. Just
Before
hanging out,
before the topic changes
Yeah.
too much, the one fucking here take the one solace in life that I will always fucking take, and that is that all this crazy shit you see on social media of women fucking trying to publicly ridicule men for having the balls to, for having the sheer gall to think that they're attractive, that does not represent the majority of reality.
Oh no.
Most people aren't gonna fucking do that. Most people are decent. Here's how I view it. Of every human being on this planet, probably only about 30% are bad people, and of those 30%, maybe 20% of that are irredeemable, which is 6% of the rest of humanity.
I'd,
You know,
I'd say lower. I'd say lower. I honestly, I see these
well,
schmendricks and these horrible people, and like I said, the awfuls. There are awfuls, and honestly, there are a lot more awfuls and a lot more feminazis than I ever thought there were, but they're still a tiny, 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 tiny minority.
Well, forgive me if I'm a
Yeah.
little pessimistic.
Yeah, you will be, but you've grown up and you're seeing a lot of it out here. But yeah, a lot of what you're going to see on the internet, a lot of these people, they are purposely on the internet. You see a lot of them. It's just like in the news when you hear about this shooting or that shooting, or it's because these things are rare, or this accident or this spill. It's because they're rare. That's why they made news. Because they don't happen that often.
And
They never come out and say, in breaking news, mosquitoes bite. In other breaking news, a flock of ducks flew over town. No, because those are things that happen all the time. It's noteworthy is what makes it news, and that's why you see these crazy assholes on
and
the yeah.
and another thing on that, the reason there's so many awful fucking people on the internet is because they're awful people.
Mm,
They can't survive anywhere else.
yeah, and the truth is, a lot of people that are in their actual world don't want to hear their shit anymore because they're decent people. So they escape to the internet where they can create the bubble where they're surrounding themselves. You are going to find that there are more people around you that are just good, decent people that'll carry on a conversation with you that that you can make a connection with. That's Then there are the crazy radical weirdos. There's not a lot of those. That's like I said. That's why they form their internet posses and come after you and cancel you and shit like that. But resist them. You want to be a part of a resistance? Resist that. Resist those morons that tell you, you should think like me, somebody who's never met you, who's talking to you on the internet, or and you should support this politician who tells you to hate your mom and your dad and your grandpa and your cousins because they don't think like I do. Not necessarily because they don't think like you do, because I'm trying to make you think like I do, but because they don't think like I do and don't think like this politician, and they have a choice and decide they want to go somewhere else. So you should hate people that are the only people who are there and should be the ones that you love. And that's stupid. Nobody should do that. Okay, you can disagree. One person in your family can vote for one person and another vote for another, and it doesn't matter. That is not there is nothing existential about a politician, okay? Trump is, like I said, he is not some demon shat from the womb of Satan, okay? Neither is any Democrat. They will hurt your life and make it harder for you to live if you don't start paying attention to the weird shit that the little ones are doing, because this shit changes a little by little by little, and eventually it will get out of control. The most just contemptible thing I could think of in this entire country, and it's full of them, is people who don't give a shit, don't know, and don't want to know when it comes to politics. They'll walk in, especially the ones that are voting. They'll just walk into that our booth. They'll think, okay, my dad told me when I was 18 I had to vote Democrat. I'm going to vote Democrat. Okay, my mom or my dad told me when I was 18 I had to vote Republican. I vote Republican. You don't pay attention because truthfully, Republicans and Democrats, there's not a hell of a lot different about them. I mean, they're the one thing that they are most bipartisan on in this country when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, and even to independents, is fucking the American people. That's one thing that all politicians can agree on. Is not only fucking the American people, but getting as much cocaine and hookers in their system as they possibly can.
We're starting to get like close to an hour.
That's okay. When we put it together, it'll be over an hour. But good.
In the middle of recording, what's up?
But
What's up?
yeah, you don't trust these people. They're not your friends. They're not your family. You love your friends. You love your family. You get information from these people, and even the crazy radicals. You can get some information from them because you can see just how you know off the deep end each one of them are on either side. Okay, because there's people who are off the deep end to the right, people who are off the deep end to the left. It happens. Okay, that's just the way it is. But as I say all the time, love your family, love your friends, love your community. Okay. And if you miss a presidential election, you don't vote in that okay, that's yeah. Okay. But pay attention to your local elections. All politics is local. That's an old saying, and it's very true. You want to keep the crazies from taking over, keep your local politics sane. Don't just skip over it just because it's a school board. Learn about those people running for your school board. Don't skip over it because it's the county tax assessor. Learn about that person who wants to be the county tax assessor or or part of the county commission of this or that or the dog catcher. Learn about these people. Hell, some which might be a dog catcher or want to be a dog catcher because he likes torturing dogs or being a dick or something. You don't want that guy. Those are the people that are most directly going to affect your life. But don't let politics run your life. Okay, movies. Now there's two Vietnam movies that I'm going to recommend. Because recommending one, I have to recommend one to recommend the other. There's number one is Platoon. Oliver Stone movie, good movie. Oliver Stone's a little bit of a wacko in some things. Some things the guy says are pretty spot on, but a lot of things the guy says he's a little. But he's still an excellent filmmaker. He made the movie Platoon, but there was another movie that was made that didn't hardly receive any fanfare. I think it was considered a flop, but it was probably one of the best Vietnam movies I ever seen, and it was called 84 Charlie Mopic, which is a designation for an MOS. Anybody who's ever been in the Army knows what an MOS is. And uh, 84 Charlie is the designation for a cameraman. Mopic means motion picture. So he's a live action cameraman. And the movie it's basically shot from his perspective as he's filming a LRPS team in the field, which is long range reconnaissance patrols. Basically these small specialized teams that would go out, figure out where enemy troops were, call in artillery on them, and then try to sneak back. And the constantly surrounded by enemy forces, outgunned. Uh, but it was good because it was filmed as though it was a documentary, and it is just a great movie. You got to check it out. I think everything we covered, unions, union. I got to say that because I say it every time. Every time. Leuna, IUOE, Metal Workers Union. Uh, I might mention another union here up the next week or two. I'm thinking about mentioning it, but uh, something to deal with. But always, as far as unions go, best way to go. I make for a non-union member, a scab, or not non-union member, but for a scab heavy equipment worker, I make a little bit more than twice what they make. That's no joke. Okay, a little now. That's because I'm a lot better at my job than they are, and uh, they know I'm coming to work sober, which is a very important thing. Uh, but yeah, union. You if there's a union for what job you do, look into joining it. It'd probably be the best thing that ever happened to you. Well, that's all I got. Producer Jeeves, you got anything?
Not much else.
Okay. Okay, and I think, like I said, our commies are bad. As far as that goes, that's goes without saying. We don't need to rehash all of that. As far as I'm just going to go through and see if I no Swalwell. Yeah, like I said, hey Swalwell, send me them beaver shots of Fang Fang. Check those out. But yeah, uh, luckily, and hopefully there will come a time when the commies, the not the commies, but the the Reform Jews. I don't want to call them all commies. Not all Reform Jews are commies. Okay, that was a slip up, and I apologize for that. But when the Reform Jews will, and I'm not telling them all you got to vote Republican all the time, all the time, all the time. I'm not telling anybody you got to vote Republican or Democrat all the time, all the time. I'm telling you don't vote Republican or Democrat all the time. I'm telling you Take the time. It's not that hard, and there's not that many people being elected in any one particular area in this country that you can't take the time to invest and learn about each one of these people. It's as simple as looking up a couple of things on the internet for half of them. Learn about the candidates, whether they are Democrat or Republican. Learn about the candidates, whether they're running for a national or a local position, especially if they're running for local, because those are the ones that are going to most affect your life the soonest. Don't just vote for somebody because they got a D or an I or a R or whatever. Hell, whatever beside their name. That's how you end up with Democratic Socialists of America running shit because people just went in there and just okay, D, okay, bye, and that's all they were thinking about. They didn't look, they didn't pay attention. Crazy. Remember, this is our world. We're all in it together, and ain't nobody's getting out of this shit alive. Take care of your family. Take care of yourselves. Till next week. Shalom.